From missing USADA's deadline of entering the pool for 2023 to facing sexual assault allegations that could delay his return, here's how the fighters reacted to Conor McGregor missing USADA tests. Well, folks, it's official. The Notorious won't be returning to the octagon this year. The news came as a shock to all MMA fans who were expecting to see Conor fight Michael Chandler in the last quarter of 2023. The two lightweights finished filming The Ultimate Fighter, and usually the coaches fight at the end of the season. I guess it was part of the reason why Chandler jumped on the opportunity to coach on TUF. Gotta do what you gotta do to get a red panty night. But the fight will likely fall through, as the former Bellator champ would have to sit out at least till next year in order to get that fight. Now, some of you may not know that the UFC is governed by an independent drug testing agency, and the fighters are supposed to be tested for at least 6 months before they can fight in the UFC. Well, up until 2021, Conor had no issues with drug testing at all. In fact, McGregor had 50 clean tests for which he got a jacket from USADA. But reports say that he hasn't been tested since he broke his leg in the rubber match against Dustin Poirier. The UFC was well aware of this issue and thought it'd be sorted out soon so the fight with Michael Chandler could take place. But unfortunately, even if Conor starts getting tested immediately, he won't be able to compete till next year. As bummed out as everyone was upon hearing this, Michael Chandler was the one who suffered the most. The number 5 ranked lightweight made a video as soon as the news came out. According to him, McGregor missed the last day to enter the pool, and the fight couldn't be booked at the last pay-per-view of the year as a result. Chandler was highly disappointed, but if you know the guy, he never stops being a professional. Mike pointed out the irony that USADA showed up at his door the same day Conor's news got announced. The anti-doping agency collected both blood and urine samples from Chandler, so it just added insult to injury. The 37-year-old was watching the new Ultimate Fighter episode while he talked about the difficult situation. The former 2-time lightweight champ said that there are some situations in life that you just gotta smile through, no matter how hard it gets. But at the end of the video, Mike repeated Conor's quote with a little change, saying, "Where the is that guy?" Now, even though it was just mimicry, it's still the first time I've heard Chandler swear. He may not show it, but the man is pissed. Still, he isn't the first fighter at 155 to call out Conor on this issue. Justin Gaethje also made several accusations about the Irishman taking steroids. The human highlight reel likes to keep it real and do all the talking inside the cage, but he wasn't scared to share his thoughts on Conor. The two of them don't like each other. Some of the beef is because Conor has made some over-the-top comments about Ali, who is Justin's manager. And the two of them were also supposed to fight in 2020, but Conor decided to fight Cowboy instead. For Justin, the most suspicious part about all this was the timing. As I said earlier, Conor never had a problem with USADA. It was only after the leg break that he decided to not get tested. The news came out in 2022 that the Irishman hadn't been tested in over a year, and that's when Justin decided to take some shots. The number 3 ranked lightweight was sure that McGregor was off doing some steroids, because if he wasn't doing that, he has no reason to not be getting tested. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Gaethje also said that he doesn't mind fighting Conor while he's on steroids, as long as he gets to take steroids too. He just wants fair competition at the end of the day, and it looks like Conor is breaking the rules by refusing to get tested. Now, you'd expect Justin to go after the former champion like that, since they're both in the same division. But even fighters from other weight classes took offense to the whole USADA issue. If you're a hardcore fan, you might know about the Believe You Me podcast with Michael Bisping and Anthony Smith. The two of them touched on this subject when the news immediately broke about Conor not getting tested. Smith said that it bothers him a lot since there's no other explanation for leaving the testing pool. What's the harm in getting tested otherwise? Now, one of the reasons why some people were on Conor's side throughout all this was that he suffered a career-threatening injury. So it's valid for him to use all kinds of PEDs to get himself back to 100% before he can get clean again. Some fighters called it a loophole that no one before Conor thought of using. But Anthony wasn't a big fan of this strategy, because most fighters don't have the same power as Conor, and in his position, they wouldn't be able to get away with not getting tested. According to Smith, Conor healed a lot faster than most people do with that kind of injury, and no one can ignore how big he's gotten and all the muscle mass he's put on since his hiatus. It all points to one thing only, and it's not fair to other fighters. The former middleweight champion also weighed in and played the devil's advocate by saying that if Conor spends 6 months in testing, then technically he's not breaking any rules. But the fact that he put on muscle mass without a working leg is definitely suspicious. Now, it's official that USADA wouldn't give a green signal to Conor fighting in 2023, but the UFC might be able to make an exemption for the Irish star, and it won't be the first time. As unfortunate as it is, rules don't apply to everyone. Sometimes when the UFC is desperate to put on a big fight, they take matters into their own hands. The biggest example I remember is when Brock Lesnar was supposed to fight Mark Hunt at UFC 200. Lesnar was given an exemption to fight without spending the necessary amount of time in the testing pool. It was a one-time thing since the UFC was desperate for a gigantic card, and all the fights were falling apart. Lesnar versus Hunt was announced at UFC 199 just a month before the scheduled bout. Now, such a big exemption was almost like UFC's way of telling Lesnar to go take all the steroids he wants. And that's exactly what Brock did. The former heavyweight champion failed the pre-fight drug test, and his win against Hunt was turned into a no contest. Since then, Mark Hunt has been suing the MMA promotion, and the case has been ongoing since 2016. I highly doubt that Dana would be willing to take such a big risk again after how it went down the last time. But it's Conor we're talking about. Maybe they might create an under-the-table agreement and get Chandler on board. Who knows what lengths everyone will go to in order to make that money. Mike's coming all the way from Bellator, so it won't be the first time he's fighting anyone on the juice. Now, as big of a shock as this was to all the fans, this wasn't the only reason why McGregor made the headlines recently. The notorious one was slammed with another sexual assault charge at the NBA Finals. The former two-division champ was at the NBA Finals Game 4, where he was a special guest and even knocked out the Miami Heat's mascot. The allegation was from a woman who was seen on camera with the Irish star, and the two were recorded as they entered the men's room. Conor told the security to block the doors as they went in. Another video spotted him and the alleged victim being together after the incident had allegedly taken place. The charges against Conor are for violent sexual assault, but so far, no new evidence has come to light. The UFC issued a statement saying they'd wait for the case to progress and for more details to be revealed. And the fighter's attorney was also quick to deny all the accusations. This wouldn't be the first time Conor's faced charges of this sort, but all of them got dropped and he's never been convicted. The 34-year-old isn't the most law-abiding citizen. He was also arrested after he attacked the UFC fighter bus as he was trying to get to Khabib Nurmagomedov. To play the devil's advocate, maybe this was the reason why Conor's plan to enter the USADA testing pool was delayed. That is, if he ever planned on stepping back in at all. Only Conor knows what's going to happen in the future. I just hope the fight with Chandler doesn't fall through because that's a banger we all need to see. Well, there you have it, MMA fans. From Conor's legal issues potentially causing a delay in his return to missing USADA's deadline to be able to compete this year. This was fighters reacting to Conor McGregor missing his USADA tests.